Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to Fools Rush In. The title of tonight's episode is Mystic Fools, and that's because we said we could and we did. We have taken that 0 in Chesterfield's loss column in their home form and turned it into a 1. That, amongst many other games to be discussed across the evening. However, we start tonight with an update on something that was discussed on Friday. No, not Ben's outrageous claims that David Beckham is underrated. He's been banned from tonight's episode for such blasphemy. But we had some fun in the intro question, you might recall. I said that a friend of mine had gone into hospital, was expecting their first baby, and we all took predictions on when said baby would be born. Well, I'm pleased to announce, and it's, social media official, so I'm okay to talk about it, that actually while we were live on Friday night, my friend went into labour and little baby Sadie was born. And mum and baby are home as of yesterday and have had just over 24 hours at home together. And everyone is doing very well. So congrats to Georgia and Andy, and welcome to the world, little baby Sadie. As always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. So please do get involved in all of tonight's topics, which include beating Chesterfield, feeling better, Swindon Town women, One Bassett women, excuse me, Caution women, how badly we're going to smash Peterborough tomorrow, as well as HMS Pistol League takes a little pause while HMS Win All the Cups set sail again. So much to discuss, but with all of those games, that does not mean we do not have an intro question, and it is an all-important one tonight, one that we need your input on as much as tonight's panel. It is the 1st of December, which means the Advent calendars are out, and what I want to know is what Advent calendars does everyone have this year? I have two. This year. Because I'm still a child at the age of 35. My mum got me an Advent calendar. She also got Aidan one. Aidan got the choice. He chose the Dairy Milk one, which means I get the Polar Express calendar. But I also bought my child one, and buying my child one means I also buy myself one. So he got the Hershey cookie and cream one from me, and I've got the Celebrations one. So my Advent calendars this year are the Polar Express and Celebrations. What I want to know is, what are your Advent calendars this year, and what are the panel's Advent calendars? I'm going to predict that actually, because I'll be honest, that there are two fools sat in the lobby. I'm going to say both of them will claim they don't have one. One of them will eat one of the child's, and one of them will eat the grandchild's. Let's find out if I'm correct. Starting with the man who is not making his first appearance for a while. No. Not a second appearance for a while. No. But for the first time, and I can't remember how long, he's making a hat trick of appearances without a break. Good evening, Wazza.
Evening, mate.
There's the Malteser Advent calendar. Good lad.
Yeah, love it. To be fair,
Absolute
mate, Al's always does this good, to be fair. She won't be on camera, but she's brought out her one. Look.
Do you know what? That's the one I was going to get. It looks nice.
It was good.
And the kids have got two. They've got their two. So we're definitely not eating theirs. That's a definite. We've got our own. So
excellent. Glad to hear it.
And great to be honest. I feel like Nick and Woody at the moment. Like, I feel like them with 3 in a row. I'm really happy.
Good. You should be happy. And we're happy to have you here for your 3rd episode in a row. We'll get into all the fundamentals in a moment, but unlike myself, who failed a late fitness test, you made the travel all the way to Chesterfield. And I say we spoke. We didn't really speak. We exchanged a few voice notes where you were checking that I was okay after crying off sick. And your voice sounds a lot healthier today than it did Saturday night. All I want to know is, did you do a little bit of screaming on Saturday?
A little bit of screaming, yeah. Though the lino took some pouters from us down our side. He made a few shocking calls. But it was a crazy game of football. I know I keep saying this, but it was two really good sides. Like, Chesterfield were bang up for it. I could see why they haven't lost a lot of games. Well, lost no games at home. They were we'll go into this, but they were very, very good. Stuck to their strengths and everything like that. But massive 3 points on the road, a massive result. Obviously gutted that you weren't there to make it. You failed your late fitness test. So late that you made it all the way to Leicester train station.
So much that I was ready to go on the second form of transport.
Yeah.
I like, by the way, that you said that Els doesn't want to be on camera, and since then she spoke on camera and keeps walking behind you on camera.
Yeah, she just loves it. Yeah. She's there trying to sneak out. See her trying to stay behind me. That's what she was doing.
Yeah, but you're a skinny man these days, Was. She can't just hide behind you.
We're getting there. We're slowly but surely getting there. But yeah. Yes, I'll do that. Anyway. Sorry, Els is heckling me. She's going up to bed, and you know what we were saying off camera? These devious pair have turned up at our house, so I've now on duty tonight to make sure they go somewhere.
Do you know what? We'll throw out an extra, not an intro question. Here's where the audience can take over. Throw in suggestions of what Wazza should do for the show.
Great idea.
Let's get some ideas of what Wazza can do with that creature at the end of tonight's
that idea,
episode.
Yeah. Write it down. Yeah, write it down, because me and Els are pretty pathetic when it comes to this. We end up going on like whatever the Instagram, Facebook, and seeing what everyone else has done. They're so creative with it, and me and Els are like, oh, we'll just put him in his toy pit, or we'll put him next to his homework or something like. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we're a bit boring.
Well, we will see if we can get you some ideas, Wazza.
Yes, give us some ideas, please.
Right. I did say there was another full waiting. He is waiting. Hello and good evening, Nick.
Yeah, evening, Fifey. I was.
Hiya, mate.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. All good this end.
Good. And the big question, there's Els again. Look, just wanting an appearance fee on Fools. What I want to know, Nick, is do you have an advent calendar?
I actually do, yes.
Yes, Nick!
Yes.
What have you got this year?
My daughter very kindly bought me a Toblerone.
Oh, yes.
Els approved. She's in the living room going, oh,
love a Toblerone.
Banging.
Oh, superb. Well, look at the Fools clearing out on the advent calendars. Do let us know what advent calendars you have. I will actually post it out on our socials in a moment as well.
I can add to that as well.
Go on.
Because I bought my son advent calendar, Hawkstone beer one.
Oh, nice. Love that.
Yes. I haven't heard back from him today on what his first day was like. Yeah, I've told him he's got to do it day by day. Although he's not going to be there much at the moment for other reasons, but
yes,
yeah. So he was quite happy with that.
Good. Mike says Waz's missus has made more appearances than Gary, and we've got your first idea sent in. Mike says use Marmite so it looks like it's crapped all over the kitchen.
There we go. Good idea. Yeah, like
nice.
That one.
So lots to get involved with on the chat. We want to know what your advent calendars are. We want to know what Wazza can do with the elf, and we want all of your thoughts on all of tonight's topics. Let's get straight into it then. And obviously, Nick, we're gonna weigh heavily on Wazza tonight for the review of Saturday's game. But I want to start with you. Just how big a 3 points is that on Saturday? We all described it, as Wazza said, a good side with a great home record, a side that Holloway spoke up about, a side managed by someone that Holloway spoke very highly of. Just how big a 3 points in the context of the season is this?
I guess you've just got to look at their record to date. Unbeaten at home. I think they only lost 1 or 2 in previous seasons, so they're a hard nut to crack. We needed that win after our, although relatively poor, dip in form, I should say. So yeah, it was massive. I mean, that league table is crazy because I was sort of watching it on BBC in Sky Sports, and I think that the top of the table changed hands 4 times. From MK to us to Bromley, and can't remember who the other one is.
MK Dons, probably.
Yeah, Warsaw, yeah. So, but, yeah, so 4 times it changed. So that just shows how tight this league is. But yeah, that is absolutely massive result. As I said Friday, I was confident we could get a win there. The only thing that spoiled is they scored 1 and we didn't get our 3rd. And we probably should have or could have. I don't say should have. We probably could have. But yeah, it was obviously a really, really good performance. Again, the goals being shared around again, both wing backs scoring. I mean, that's just brilliant. So yeah, it was great. You know, we looked obviously 1-0 up, and you thought, oh, great, brilliant. And the next minute, oh Christ, it's 1 each. Here we go. But they obviously stuck at it. Our man got his tactics right, changed it around at half time, and obviously Was can tell us more. But the bits I've seen and picked up from reports, that second half we were absolutely outstanding. So you know, just waiting for that 90-minute performance, but that's not a criticism. Yeah, 3 vital points, and that keeps us well in the hunt.
Absolutely. Was talk us through it then. Start with the mood on the drive up. Obviously, you weren't alone. There was you, there was Theo, Arch and Dill were there as well. Was it a balmy journey up? What you know? It was a bit damp under tyre, I imagine.
Yeah. I decided to go up the Foss Way, which was a bit of a joke because we got stuck in Stow on the Wold, Morton in the Marsh. It was like Christmas markets everywhere, standard. It was a bit of a. It wasn't too bad of a journey, to be fair. It was all right. The weather was getting better as we got further north, which was really strange. But yeah, it was. I was skeptical in the car. I knew it was going to be a tough game, and it was. You know what I mean? I think I predicted Friday 2-2, so I was more than happy that we managed to get out of there with 3 points. Mate, it was just a crazy game. Like first half, we started quite strongly. But so did they, and it was sort of a bit nip and tuck between both teams, both trying to put their stamp on the game. But just moments of quality, and like Palmer, even though he wasn't massively involved in any sort of himself in goal scoring, the cross that he puts in for Munro's goal is a really decent cross. And Munro getting in at the back stick, great header. Did the right thing on a wet pitch. He headed it down, so it zipped up off the surface, and it made it very difficult for the keeper. So he wouldn't have had no chance. And then we were thinking then, right, let's try and build on this. And I always look into the opposition players, like having a little look. But that first half, John Fleck absolutely ran that midfield. At 34 years of age, a proper pro, he was everywhere. You know what I mean? He was decent, and the finish for the goal, their goal, we just you can tell it was a corner routine that they've worked on, and we just couldn't match it. They had Dunkley that went to the back stick, flicked it back across, and I think it was not blaming. Well, you can put a bit of blame at Old Acres door because he hasn't tracked Fleck from the edge of the box in, but it was still a very, very good finish. And you know what I mean? He's put us at 1-1, and then after that, it was all Chesterfield. And it was another one like the Grimsby game where how we got in at half-time at 1-1 is a massive part to how we won the game. Now, don't get me wrong, we weren't great, but we were still chucking ourselves in front of everything. Ripley pulled off a couple of really good saves. They've hit the post. We've been strong from set pieces, which has been a bit of a criticism because they were very... physical side, had 2 very big centre halves that were tough to deal with, and we stood up to it. We did, and you know what I mean, they're always going to create chances. They were at home, and yes, you've got to ride your luck a bit, but we were just very, very happy to get into half time. I think Holloway made the tweak. I think it was just before we had it about. I think it was about the 35th minute that Connor Ripley went down injured.
Pulled a Donnarumma.
Yeah, pulled a Donnarumma. So he went down, and I think Holloway was able to get the players over to him for a couple of minutes. And we come back out and we changed the shape. So we'd sort of gone to a 4 at the back. We matched them up because they played a 4-2-3-1. And we matched them up. And that was the best thing. And it shows the tactical nous because a lot of people question Holloway, but he matched them up and it made a massive difference. because we were just getting overrun down the sides. You know what I mean? Where our fullbacks were so high, it was just isolating the likes of Ollie Clark and Will Wright, and it was just pulling us apart. So Holloway deserves a bit of credit for that. You know what I mean? Notifying a problem and sort of resolving it and getting us back into the game. And like Nick said, the second half, we were so much better. We had a much more energy. I think they tired massively. Paul Cook said at the end that he said that they put so much into the first half and they've been a bit short in the squad at the moment. And what won it was our changes, being able to freshen it up. But you know what I mean? We've been saying about the squad so many times, haven't we? And it was a massive benefit to have that we were able to bring on, you know what I mean? Glatzel come on quite early, then McGregor come on and made a difference, and then Tabor and Ball and everything like that. And our changes had a lot more impetus than what theirs is. And from the second half performance, even though we did have to ride it out at the end, we deserved the win from the second half performance.
I know we discussed him a little bit on Friday. I want to come back to you on Tabor in a little bit, if I can, but I do have a question for Nick. However, before that, someone who wasn't scheduled to appear tonight has appeared in the lobby. He obviously ditched his meeting early because he wanted his appearance fee. Evening, Woody.
Good evening. You all right?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. No, the meeting was rearranged.
Yeah. You've pointed out now that you're basically in charge of the women's football there after your most recent promotion. You've pointed out meetings aren't allowed on Mondays.
Well, no, actually, because this was a meeting about my pay and my roles. So,
Right.
but yeah, no, it was there was a bit of miscommunication, and I was absolutely soaked from training. So I was kind of glad it wouldn't have been pleasant. I've just had to wring my boxers out.
Lovely.
And I had shorts and trousers on over the top of
Wow.
that. That's how wet it is out there. So,
you now that you're here, there's been a massive, like, earth-shattering intro question today that we need to know your input on.
Can't be that bad because you're 20 minutes in. You're already talking about the football.
Yeah, well, that's because it was only the boys, and they were very quick and had the answers to hand.
Oh, fair enough.
As it's the 1st of December, what's your advent calendar this year?
I haven't got one.
Rubbish.
Kick him out, Fifey. Kick him out.
No, what? Do you know what? I can already tell you what's about to happen. He's going to say, well, because we've got the 900 kids to buy them for, we sacrifice our own.
True. Yeah, that's not far from the truth, to be fair. No, we just didn't get one for each other this year. In fact, we left it very late until we got the kids' ones, to be fair. I mean, sorry, until we gave them to Alf on the Shelf to give to them. So yeah. But no, I advent calendars to me, like I do enjoy them, but when you think about it, they are a massive rip-off, really, aren't they? So yeah, I'd much rather just go out and buy a pack of Maltesers or something.
Oh, bar humbug.
The thing is, Woody,
hey,
I mean,
Christmas stuff's up.
apart from being a bit bar humbug to the season, Wazza has the Malteser one himself, as it happens. I'm sporting 2 advent calendars this year, and even Nick's sporting a Toblerone one. So you've let the side down. Oh, wait, but you're not the only one. Harvey, who's been MIA for a couple of episodes, has piped up with, I also don't have an advent calendar. Boo, yeah. Harvey, boo.
A Toblerone one. A Toblerone one.
Banging.
Jesus Christ, like, where'd you get that from? Harrods?
No, my daughter bought it for me.
A Toblerone advent calendar is just one step down from a Ferrero Rocher one, isn't it? Let's be honest.
which is one step down from the Lindt. Although I did have a Lindt one year, it was very nice.
Do you know what? Asda in Leicester, when I went in on Sunday, had a whole thing of Lindt ones that were reduced to sell because they were the only ones left in the shop.
Yeah. I went into Morrison's on the way home, and they had the Biscoff Cadbury's ones, which were £7.50, and now £3.75.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, shouldn't have said that. They were actually £12 out.
Woody, you like the one I got my son? I got him a Hawkstone one.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Is that the really big box?
Yeah, massive.
Box?
Yeah.
That's my type of admin. Although last year,
Yeah.
do you remember I had the rum?
Last
the
year
rum
you
one?
had the beers
Yeah.
one, didn't you?
I've still the rum one, and I've still got the shots. Some of the shots of rum from where I haven't drunk it yet.
Get on the run, Woody.
Get on it.
Anyway, yes, you've joined it. We've literally just started reviewing the result on Saturday. So I'll let you catch up with where we are in discussion and then jump in as normal with your expert analysis on each aspect. Nick, where I do believe in when I say these things, there's also an element, as I've said before, where I'm kind of playing either devil's advocate or trying to balance or basically rage bait people into saying something outrageous. I have pulled up the defence many times in recent weeks, but the resilience of Swindon is really starting to shine through. If you look at, for example, Fleetwood, I wasn't happy with the performance, but we were resilient. You look at Grimsby, I wasn't happy, but we were resilient. You listen to what was just saying, it wasn't spectacular, but one thing you can't argue is it was resilient. This Swindon team is showing that resilience, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's with different personnel in that back line.
Yes.
We haven't always had the same back three or back four. So whoever comes in is able to do a job. And arguably, we're missing one of our best centre halves in Mabeti, which I hadn't heard anything why he was not even in the squad. So I don't know what's happened there or whether he's
Being
injured.
rested for League One opposition.
Probably for tomorrow night. Yeah, so
Taft still
but
out,
yeah,
so.
because obviously was a bit of tout, but from the reports I've seen that Will Wright had a really good game as well, as well as everybody else in the back line, and Knight LaBelle, because he's come in for a bit of criticism, and I think that, the whole anybody who comes in seems to know what their job is, does it obviously to the best that they can, and they've been performing, which is, as we've said, good defenses win titles.
We've all been a bit sceptical, but that was Jamie Knight LaBelle's best game in a Swindon shirt.
Yeah.
He was outstanding. Won every header.
Yes, I'd read a stat somewhere he won 100% of his aerial duels.
Yeah, I didn't know, but it felt like he won every header. He helped with the pace aspect because he obviously had Clark next to him and Wright. And then even when we went to the back four, Wright did look a little bit vulnerable at right back, but you'd expect
that was going to be my next question. I'd read that Wright had gone right back and Knight LaBelle was right centre back. You'd naturally think it was the other way around.
You would have thought so, but Knight LaBelle stayed in the middle. I think Holloway was really keen to have that bit of pace in the middle of the centre of the pitch. And that's why Knight LaBelle stayed there, because actually what happened was Ollie Clark partnered Knight LaBelle in the four. Wright was right back, and then Munro was left back. And you know what I mean? They performed. They did. Wright was a little bit shaky, but I think he saw that, and that's when he put Clark into midfield, and then he put Wright in alongside Knight LaBelle and put McGregor on at right back. So he notified the problems, but he had to match up the system. I totally agreed with what he had to do because, like I said earlier, they were running rings and we needed to match them up so it was a lot easier to people to know who they were marking and what they were doing. But that was, I do agree with Lepo's comment, our defence does always look a bit shaky, but it was one of those games that in the second half, when we went ahead, we did have a barrage towards the end. And even though we had chances on the break, you know what I mean? We stood up to what they threw at us. And that was really impressive to see.
Just sticking with you then, was at the other end of the pitch. Once again, Tabor came off the bench and has come away with, maybe not with the goal, but he's come away with some rave reviews from Swindon fans online.
He just needs a goal. He just needs one. He really, really does. Like he made a massive difference. It was a bit unfortunate because Palmer got injured, I think, and that's what he obviously Glatzel come on for Palmer, and then Oldacre Table come on for Oldacre. He just offers us something different down that what we haven't got. He was fearless. It sort of, we went back to the sort of two because they would drop it. We went back to the wing backs again and put everyone back in when we went ahead. to give you that extra man back there. And him and Drinan, they ran themselves into the ground. Aaron Drinan ran himself into the ground, and both of them should have had goals. Drinan had a one-on-one that he should have scored. I think if he didn't have that suspension and he was still in the vein of form that he was in, that goes in the back of the net and it was game over. Table, obviously, you've probably all seen the chance that Table had, that Drinan's laid him off and he's hit the bar. He's just done everything but score. And he run into the ground. And the best cheer that he got, I don't know if any of you've seen this, but it was sort of the 90th minute into injury time, and we've got the ball. They've got the ball. They're just pummeling it, and the ball's come out, and he's won a second ball. He's brought it down, tucked it round a defender, and then he's won a free kick. And that got the biggest cheer because we were stuck back in, and it was just a clever. You'd expect that from the likes of Drinan and Palmer. But it was beyond his age that it was so clever from him that he knew that he wanted to try and keep the ball and protect it for us, but he thought, no, I just need to. And he won the free kick, which was so important because we were able to get up the pitch. And you know what I mean? That was right near the end where they were just completely barraging us with long balls into our box. So, yeah, Fifey, the impact that he's making, he looks so much better than, in my opinion, than Prince. And in my opinion, I don't think it was Bodin's sort of game. I just don't think you would have been able to bring Bodin on because the game was just very basketball. It was going from, we were catching them on the break and trying to nick that third goal and make it more comfortable. So it was the right game for Tabor. And yeah, he's looking more and more confident, and he just needs one to hit his arse and go in. He just hit his backside or whatever. Because I think if he gets one, he'll get more. Because it just need that confidence, but a very positive impact again from him and from all of our substitutes. To be perfectly honest, special mention for Ball that come on. He just gives us that bit of experience and solidity, and he went into the middle of the park. I think when people ask why Mabete didn't make the squad, I think Holloway loves having so many attacking options on the bench. When you've got someone that, like Ball, that can cover centre half and centre midfield, that's the reason that Ball makes the bench over Mabete for me. And he showed on Saturday that he could come on, and he did a decent job for the last 15 minutes in centre midfield, coming on for Nichols, who looked knackered. And he just added us a bit more of a physical presence in the middle of the pitch.
Woody, let me ask you about the middle of the pitch. I know you weren't quite on with us yet, but Wasner was saying, particularly in the first half, how a vastly experienced and very highly regarded because of his what's the word I'm looking for? Undoubted quality. John Fleck ran the show. It was described on the Friday episode that midfield is where this game's going to be won and lost. We have undoubted quality ourselves in our midfield, but it's becoming kind of a regular occurrence that we're talking about how your Flecks, your McEachrons, these sorts of players are dictating the game. What do you think it is? Is it the makeup isn't quite right, or the formation just isn't suiting this sort of opposition that's allowing these players to dictate against us as opposed to us sort of putting our will onto the opposition?
Well, I think there's a mixture of a few different things. Obviously, we play kind of two holding and then one attacking midfielder, which does normally allow a player like a Fleck, like a McEachran, to kind of find those little pockets of gaps. But I think, if I'm honest, although I agree with what was saying, we did need to change it because it wasn't just Fleck, it was the other guy that was, I can't remember his name now. I'll have a look. Is it Naylor? I want to say Naylor.
Naylor was the other centre midfielder.
Yeah. So I think when you've got those players like that who are very experienced in the game, they don't, because they haven't got like energy to go up and down and all of that. Although Fleck was definitely not looking like his body shape when he was running around. But it was quite. I think when you've got two players like that can find their own spaces, they've kind of got the inner Pirlo type act about them where they can just find those spaces. But if I'm honest with you, minus Fleck's goal, and I don't know, I might see the game slightly differently, but I think that, yes, he had time on the ball, but where he was putting it didn't really end up with much. He'd have space on the ball and they'd try to pick the ball out. And I actually agree with, and I've probably been his biggest critic. I agree with what the lads were saying. Knight Labelle was superb on Saturday, I thought. Considering how shaky our defence can be, I thought we did all right. I mean, Flex scoring his goal was, kind of a lack of concentration, in my opinion, from Oldacre. The ball's come out. Oldacre's got his body shape wrong. He's looking away from Fleck, and Fleck's just come in and hit it. It's similar to obviously what Snowden did at the other end, isn't it? But I just think that when you've got wise men, so to speak, in there, you've got two wise men, you kind of go one or the other, don't you? You have two really wise lads with one legs in front of you, or you go the other way and you have two sets of legs with one wise man. And we do the latter. We've got Nichols and Kilkenny who've got the legs to get about the pitch, and Oldacre who's got about legs to get across from one centre circle to the other side. But he's a bit like that. He'll find those pockets of space where, because I find that Oldacre, especially even on Saturday, I found that considering he had a bit of a target on his back, I think that's not, we can't lie about that. He definitely, he was on the end of a couple of brunt challenges, I think, but he was finding some decent gaps. So I think when you've got the experience, again, McEachran's a fine one. McEachran, for me, you all know my thoughts. I thought he was quite underrated with us, but it's he's experienced from the higher levels, so he's kind of just got you find those pockets of space, and that's what Naylor and Fleck did to us. They found those just little pockets, but I think that was also because we were very almost mid to low block out of possession, and then waited for a trigger on the press. Because I don't know if that was on purpose or whether that was maybe because Drinan, like Wazza said, might need that extra bit of match fitness before we really see him proper pressing again, which is probably why Tabor came on and did really well. But it was. I mean, to be honest, overall, I actually, from the Chateau, I really enjoyed the game. I actually thought I thought the tactics that we used to start with were good to kind of figure them out, and then we had to adjust. We adjusted well. Players that don't normally particularly stand out for me did stand out a little bit. So it's I think that's probably why we did so well, was because I think even though it was, let's not hide behind the obvious, it was a bloody good result. 2-1 away to Chesterfield is a good result, and I think they. I think just tactically over the pitch, we got it right. We got it right on the day, I think. And but we're always going to have that. Like, to answer your question in the long-winded way, we're always going to have that. If you've got two wise men or one wise man, they're always going to find those little pockets. And but the problem is where do you sacrifice? If you either lose someone like Oldacre, who has been good recently, and you put in who's he going to put in there? Because we've tried Clark, Nichols, and Kilkenny, and for some reason it didn't work. Because Nichols is now settled, he's settling back in a little bit. Whereas Nichols of last year probably would have been all right because he was more of an attacking midfielder. But it just depends on the makeup really. But I think Fleck had a lot of the ball, but I don't think that was by us just leaving him to it.
Woody hit the nail on the head with the Nichols thing, because even when we went for the last 15 minutes, until it changed again, Ollie Clark went into midfield with Nichols and Kilkenny, and you was thinking, well, who's he going to push higher, or what's he going to do? Or I think it was when Ball come on for Nichols, and it was Ball, Kilkenny, and Clark, and the highest one of the three was Ollie Clark. And I think Holloway done that very clever, because he was thinking, well, Clark's still got some energy about him, and Clark is a presser, isn't he? And he was just trying to get to everywhere to stop them from putting balls in our box, or to stop the easy pass as such. But I think he's so settled with Nichols and Kilkenny as a two that I don't think they're a conversation of, unless they drop off performance-wise, or one of them's injured or suspended. Those are the two. He just loves them, doesn't he? They've just got what they want. So it's the people in front and the people that are behind that you're going to tweak. So,
Nick, let's take a moment to discuss the all-important winning goal. And something that Swindon fans are becoming a bit familiar with is these sorts of shots from, let's say, shot from distance, going rifling into the back of the net.
Yeah, it's always nice to see. It's the old thing. It's like if you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win anything. And he obviously ran onto it, got his body right, and hit an absolute beaut. Nothing the keeper could do. Perfect. And those goals are really always nice to see. And one like that to win the game is a bonus. So fair play to him. We know he's got a shot on him, so more of it, please. More of it. And if you get a chance to hit it, great. You don't always have to score that perfect goal although our first goal, you could say that was perfect with the amount of ball we kept and moved around. And that was just a different goal on a different level. Two totally opposite goals. One a rasping shot and the other one such a super team goal. So, and if you can do that across a game, it gives you more than half a chance to win it.
Well, I think Holloway said as part of his interview today that when you're looking at goal of the season contenders, we've got 4 or 5 entries of our own, and they're different types. So he said we've got 2 or 3 sort of team entries. We've also got a couple of screamers in there. So, and it just goes to show that I find with the team goals is the execution of game plans working to a T, and then the joy of having technicians, the likes of Monroe, Oldacre, Bowden done it recently, the goal at the weekend from Snowden, that these people who can connect with the ball just properly and strike it sweetly. Not always something that's attributed to players at our level.
Yeah. No, you're right there. Like I say, if they get the opportunity, and obviously that's part of, I guess, how he coaches the team. If you're in that position and there's a chance, go for it. And 7 times out of 10, it's probably going to sky or get deflected or over the bar. But the 1 or 2 times they get it right, and you're on a winner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to ask both Woz and Woody about Finley Monroe's red card from different perspectives. From mine, what I will say is I respect his want and desire to drag us forward in the Virtue Trophy by making sure he's permanently available for those games. I really respect it on his part that he makes sure he plays in those games at the expense of other matches. Woz, let's start with you. What was the feeling in the stands? Obviously, it was late in the game, but was it a case of, oh, dear God, no?
I don't think it's one that you can really blame. I can't even remember what the first booking was for. Probably a foul. I don't know. I don't think it was dissent or anything like that. So you can't blame him for.
He's not pulled a Paqueta, let's say.
No, that's it. He's not done. Yeah, he's not done anything like that. The second one.
Holloway thinks he's won the ball both times.
It was his first touch that's just gone away from him a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's what it was. And he was so desperate to win the ball back because he didn't want us to be exposed that if he hasn't been booked, you're happy for him to do what he's done. And on a yellow card, he's not thinking about, I could get sent off here. He was thinking about the team and he's thinking, right, I'm going to try and win this ball back because we would have been away on the break and everything like that. The ref was desperate to get his the Chesterfield fans were up at that point. We were very much under the cosh. And it was turning into a, can we hang on here? And it just gave, as soon as he'd done the foul, it's like the whole Chesterfield crowd knew that he was on a yellow. They all went up and the referee was only going to do one thing. And I don't think there was much moaning from Monroe. He's probably thought, it's one of those 50-50 tackles that you never know. One time you're going to get booked and the other time you probably won't. And I thought he was a bit unlucky, but that's always going to be what we're going to think from the Swindon side of things. I can see that if I was a Chesterfield fan, I would have been up on my feet going, he's got to go. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them. And I can't really put any blame at his door. He goes into challenges at 100%. And he didn't do anything different there. The only thing that let him down was his poor first touch. And if it wouldn't have been as bad, he probably would have got away with it because he wouldn't have had to have gone in like that. But the only frustrating thing is that he misses Bolton. You know what I mean? Which probably would have been a really good measure up for him against the League One side and stuff like that. So it's a shame for him, but we'll have him back in the league.
Comes up against Peterborough, it's fine.
Yeah, he'll come up against Peterborough, and then all being well, he'll come up against Cheltenham on the Tuesday night as well, which you know what I mean? I love the cups. We've said this all along, but for me, the bread and butter is the league. And if I had a choice of having him suspended for Bolton or for Cheltenham, I'd have him suspended for Bolton all day long.
Woody, wider picture, Holloway has spoken a lot recently about discipline within the team. He's spoken a lot about not being able to pick the same players all the time for injuries and suspensions. Do you think he'll see this as a frustration? Because let's be fair, on Monroe's part, he's only just had a suspension himself, and now he's got another one. I know it's two different types of suspension, but it's still a suspension.
Yeah, I think he'll be frustrated, especially because Kirkman's not back yet, is he? So I think it's probably the problem is with Monroe. He's one of our key players, but he's also one of the only positions where we don't have a great deal of cover. So it will be frustrating. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I know he's just obviously come back from suspension. So, but I think kind of was alluding to it a little bit that I wouldn't necessarily want him to change his game too much. I quite like the fact. I mean, when I watched it a couple of times whilst I was talking as well. And yeah, if I was a Swindon fan, I'd be probably screaming for it. At the same time, I do think the ref has been kind of overwhelmed or influenced by the home crowd, because I do think 100%. If it was an away crowd, it probably wouldn't have been the same. And also, Matey Boy's done about 455 somersaults and 3 swan dives and all of that, and that's what annoyed me. Right, don't get me wrong. I know it's all part of the game. I know it's part of the game, but what annoyed me was the fact that the guy's holding the wrong leg. And also, and the first thing he does, instead of going like actually being injured, he's looking up at the referee to see if he's getting his card out. And I just think, for me, that's general play acting. That's a little bit beyond gamesmanship. So I think that probably pissed me off more than the Monroe card, to be fair, because I just think, you shouldn't really want to see any of your peers being sent off, really. But that's just the way I am. But but I think he's just seen red. His inexperience has shown, not red in a horrible way, but like Wazza said, he's frustrated by that touch. And he has genuinely, if you look at it quite close, he does keep his legs quite close to his own body. And I just think because of the poor first touch, if it was just a tackle, he might have got away with it. But because the ref's got in the back of his head, that's a poor touch, and he's trying to make sure he gets there first. And then influenced by the home crowd, and obviously Cookie doesn't shut up either. But I'm not going to criticise Cookie because I think he's a great gaffer. So, but yeah, it's a shame, but it does cause us a bit of angst. But actually, to be fair, I agree with Wazza, if there was a game to be suspended, I'd rather him be suspended for the FA Cup, because whoever takes his place in the FA Cup is going to play with a point to prove, aren't they? So you're almost going to get somebody playing almost 50-100% better than they normally would, because they'll be wanting to try and keep Monroe out of the team, arguably, which we know is not going to happen in real life. But you'd like to think they're going to express. My worry is who's going to go there, because I'm sure, and somebody will correct me, but I'm sure Kirkman's out.
He is. He's
out for the rest
broken
of the
toe.
season.
Well, I think he stayed about 6 weeks a couple of weeks ago. When he went off injured. That was a cup game, wasn't it? He went off injured.
Yeah.
So
it makes you wonder whether McGregor's probably going to go out there, or
that would seem to be the indication.
Yeah, or whether he risks it with Glatz. But there's but the only problem was it the game a couple of weeks ago where McGregor went out there and it was very obvious he was uncomfortable. And then he swapped.
But equally, his most recent appearance out there was who did we play before Grimsby?
Tranmere. Fleetwood?
No, there was one in possibly Fleetwood, yeah, because I said I'm worried about McGregor being out on the left.
Yeah,
in the
it was,
WhatsApp
yeah.
chat.
Was it? Because the home
And
game
he actually
before
played
that,
really well. He played really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Oh well, he might. Yeah, I mean, if there's a team that you're going to do it against, you might as well do it in the FA Cup against.
You just
Bolton.
lose that balance. You just lose that balance, don't you? That's the horrible thing. You want a natural left footer out there, ideally.
Yeah. You want Ollie Clark out there. He'll go there.
Ollie Clark,
Yeah.
basically.
Goes everywhere. That guy.
But I wouldn't mind even if Glatzel did go out there, especially against Bolton. I can see it happening, and then it gives an opportunity for a Tabor to start or a Bodin to start to go in that position. So,
I mean, yeah, we're all saying
out,
about a left footer and Bodin, who has, I appreciate he's slightly more advanced in years now, but it's not like he's never played left winger before. Is it Billy Bodin? So.
Yeah.
Well, the other option is if you go 4-2-3-1 and play a left-footed centre back kind of, or even a bit of a makeshift, maybe even joking aside, maybe put Clark out there. As a left back rather than a left wing back. So,
by the way, Peter makes a fantastic point on the whole debate where he says Monroe could have been prevented from being cut tight by Villa anyway. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you never know.
This is true. Nick Holloway spoke at length on Thursday. It would have been, wouldn't it? About what is required to play for an Ian Holloway team. And one thing he did say was that clearly the players have taken it on board. You suggested on Friday's show that there was no way that the levels witnessed against Grimsby would be seen again because of how Holloway had spoken. They've clearly heeded the message, and he was left a lot happier with the work rate, the endeavour, the desire, etc.
Yeah. I mean, it was obvious that was going to be the case from what he said, that he beasted them on Monday, tore into them. He was similar on the Tuesday. They had a day off Wednesday, then back into some serious stuff on the Thursday. So I think, and we'll talk about it later, Holloway sets very high standards. He's a taskmaster, and I'm sure the players know very, very quickly if they're not reaching the level that he wants, and they've reacted in the only way they can. And as fans, we say it all the time: if they're giving 100% on the pitch and they're running the guts out, if you get beat, you get beat by a better side, and you have to accept that. As long as that effort's going in, which is what any fan wants. And as I say, they've reacted. They've done it. So they had to dig in, and certainly in the latter part of the game, they would obviously, blocking everything, getting bodies in the way, putting the effort in. The two up front, as usual, just run themselves into the ground. If you get that, you're going to win more games than you lose. And certainly in this league, where you can't do all your fancy football, you have got to put the graft in, and they've done it, but they can't afford to let that drop off. And I'm sure there's no way they will, because they know what they will get from Holloway. He doesn't take any prisoners, and he proves it. Obviously, what he does on the training ground, and when he speaks, he's very, very committed, and he expects everybody else to have that same level of commitment, whether it's the players, the coaching staff, and the fans, which obviously we'll come on to later. So, yeah, fair play to Holloway. He's done what needed to be done, and the team have reacted, and they've got the result. So, yeah, 100%, well done.
And at the end of the day, was not only is it a fantastic result for Swindon, isolated as a game in the context of the season. I think it was Nick made the point earlier that the league is crazy. It keeps us in second place. We remain a point behind Walsall. We remain 3 points above the playoff places. We remain 5 points outside of dropping out of the playoff places. There's only 9 points separating us from 14th. So it's important to keep chalking these points off, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where I do agree with Holloway. Sometimes you're not going to win. You're not going to win every game. It won't happen. You're not going to. It's sometimes churning these points out, and sometimes a point isn't a bad result. I agree. At home, especially, we want it to become a very difficult place for teams to come, and that we need to try and get our home form properly back on track now by winning a few more. But you know what I mean? Results like Saturday massively help with when you've had a disappointing result at home, those away wins definitely make up for it. And they do help. And against a team that on the day, that if they would have won on Saturday, they would have been on level points with us. So it shows the difference that's made, that we're 6 points clear of Chesterfield. So it was a massive, massive result away from home. A solid performance. I'm not going to go out there and say it was good as like the Crew, where I thought we were totally dominant, because we weren't. But we've come up against a very good side that are very good at home, very good at what they do. Like Woody said, I'm a massive fan of Paul Cook. He says it how it is. And even he was quite praising of how Swindon were. He said, you know what I mean? We've come up against a good side there, two good teams in this league, and that we got over the line, and we've got a massive 3 points that just keeps us where we want to be at the moment, 3 points ahead. And you know what I mean? We've got a run of games now, you know what I mean? A couple of a home game coming up next in the league next Tuesday. So we've got a bit of time now to enjoy the cup games, but you know what I mean? Then we can get back on it at home. And yeah, but it's a big period coming up, and we've just got to keep chipping away and getting these points, and they just keep adding on. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we've got to do.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there anything from the game specifically that anyone wants to add at this point? Because we've got a number of games to cover tonight, so I want to make sure everything is ticked off properly.
Connor Ripley's shithouse was just brilliant, by the way. I've just got to say it. He was outstanding. What was so funny is that he had a bit of an awful game distribution-wise, and some of the crowd, it was so brilliant. It just summed up our fans. Some of them were singing Lewis Ward, and then Ripley pulls off a decent save. And then, you know, like Ripley does when we're winning games and he wants to slow the game, what does he do? He does that thing where he gets the ball with his feet and he walks it all the way to the edge of the box and then waits for the striker. He must have wasted about 3 or 4 minutes. Not wasted, because the ball's technically still live. But he loved that win at the end. I don't know, was it Ben's TikTok earlier? Was there a video of Ripley giving it the big one as well? Because he was taking some absolute pouters. You fat bastard being the cry from the Chesterfield fans to Connor Ripley. So you can imagine how he took that when we won the game. I think he gave it
say that to his face, would you?
Yeah. But yeah, he just deserved a mention. I thought he was. He has his moments with his feet, but one thing you can't question is that he made a few really good saves. And when we needed him to be strong from a corner or something like that, you know what I mean, to come and claim a cross, he helped us there, made a massive difference.
He's a funny one, isn't he, Ripley? We haven't had the best of luck with goalkeepers in recent times. There's been a chink in the armour in most of them, but Ripley is the epitome of being able to do the sublime and the ridiculous.
Yes.
You're never quite sure what you're going to get, but he is at least able to stand up at moments when he's required.
Yeah. He's a big character, big character. And you need big characters. In that moment, 20 minutes to go on Saturday, you need big characters. And he was one then that stepped up and, you know what I mean, got us over the line and got us the 3 points.
Okay. Well, obviously, we still need to talk about tomorrow's game. We need to talk about Holloway's impassionate press conference as well. But before that, let's carry on the roundup from the weekend. Woody, let's bring you back into proceedings and talk about another fantastic weekend for our free followed sides in the women's side of the game.
Yeah, it's I mean, I only saw part of Swindon's game because I had to shoot off about 60 minutes in, but it's a very good win for them. I think probably the first time that they maybe haven't had their way in terms of possession, and I think Moneyfields have probably been the best team that I've seen adapt to the county ground or adapt to the pitch, the big pitch. They did, Moneyfields did do quite well, but then Swindon were very resolute defensively. I thought I didn't see the last 2 goals. I actually only saw Annie's first goal. But I thought they were, or Annie's goal, not first goal, Annie's goal. But when you consider that Swindon have still got players to come back as well, such as
Yep.
Izzy Cook and Charlie Taylor and things like that. I mean, I said when Charlie Taylor got injured, I thought, oh God, that's a big loss at the back, regardless of how good the others are. But no, I think especially Biff. I thought Biff had a fantastic game. But yeah, no, very good win for Richard's side, and I think that's going to do nothing but give them that little bit of boost now. Because
I imagine for Rich and for the women, it'll be nice, obviously, to maintain the run they're on, but to kind of, for want of a better phrase, win the game an ugly way as opposed to strolling past and steamrolling past teams.
And he did say that, didn't he, in his post-match? I think he said something along the lines of, it wasn't the prettiest performance, but sometimes you have got to play ugly. And I think if they've got that side of their game as well, which is great. They definitely started the second half with very kind of low block, beating the ball out, kind of on several occasions, kind of just to kind of settle Moneyfield's press a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was... they've got to be able to do games like that. And unfortunately, as I think I've said before, Moneyfields, for me, maybe not as much now their squad's a bit younger, but that Carl Watson, who manages them, is a master of game management. And I think he gets his teams well trained in the dark arts. He likes his players who know the dark arts, and he knows that he likes a physical team as well, which is probably something that Swindon haven't really come up against this season. So yeah, it was definitely the biggest test. Obviously, Bristol Rovers lost as well, so that kind of probably puts them down a little bit as well. So now it's almost still a 2-horse race. So I know we're already talking about December, but obviously the women's season's a bit shorter than the men's. But it's I think that will give them a well of confidence. And obviously Moneyfields themselves, when it's the reverse fixture, they play on a 3G pitch, and Swindon have had a lot of joy on 3G pitches this season. So it will do nothing but confidence. I think the team is staying quite leveled, quite grounded still. I think if you watch Sahara's interview afterwards, you can see that they are just very happy to be riding this cloud rather than being on it. So it's good to see.
I'm pleased to say that unless something happens in the meantime, we do have representation from Swindon Town women joining us shortly before the Christmas break.
Good game as well.
So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. Let's talk Corsham and Bassett at the same time then, Woody.
Yeah, so Corsham have gone top. I was obviously I've just had training tonight, so I was talking to Gabby and Nancy who play for them. I said, top table toppers now because they both started yesterday. But yeah, no, obviously we mentioned last week that a Corsham win could see them go top, depending on the Bassett result. Strangely, but yeah, very very good win for them. I think Gloucester may have had a couple of first team players playing, because I saw their first team game had got called off. So I don't know what type of squad Corsham were up against. But yeah, it's again quite a difficult place to go, as with many home pitches. So it's very good result for Corsham, and again they keep that 100% record in the league. And well, we'll have to wait and see what happens next, I guess. It's annoying at the Bassett game, because I think what it will do is make so much importance on that Bassett Corsham game now. So yeah, in February, and then again in April or whatever it is. But yeah,
Valentine's weekend, the big Bassett Corsham game.
Nothing more romantic, is there? And then finally, obviously Bassett, a huge win. Absolutely massive win.
And did I see our friend Bry on the score sheet again?
Yes. So, and Honor has got 2 as well. So we've had Honor on before, haven't we? Yeah, we've had Honor on before. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Ellie today, and she obviously went to watch, and she said it's the best they've played. I watched some of the highlights, and actually, to be fair, the football looked tidy. So whatever Lally's been kind of working on the last couple of weeks with tinkering into this almost unknown formation in some ways. I think it's like a 3-box-3 in some ways. Has obviously worked, and a huge result, because that's not just, they've not just beaten top of the table, they've beaten them 5-0. So really good result for Bassett. So all round good for the women's game this weekend.
Tell you what, it's a good job I'm single and not going to have anything to do that Valentine's weekend, because that Portia Bassett game is just looking tastier as the weeks go by.
I'm not single, and I'm going to that game. I don't care. there is no steak dinner stopping me from going to that game.
Okay, let's turn our attentions then to tomorrow night. Peterborough at home, League One opposition, Virtue Trophy, everyone's favourite cup competition, has turned from league table format to knockout format. Peterborough, the perennial winners of this. They are also the holders, if I remember correctly. I think they've won something like 3 in the last 5, is it, as well?
So they've won the last 2, haven't they?
Huge opportunity, Nick. And when the draw was made, I boldly said the winner of this year's competition comes from this game.
Well, let's hope it goes to plan then. And because it'll be very interesting to see what team they put out as much as what we put out, because obviously they're struggling in the league big time. So,
but equally, and while I agree, Williams is not going to want to come to Swindon and get turned over.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. But you've still got to concentrate on your bread and butter, whatever you want to do in cups. Like we all say, it's nice. It's nice to get through. It's nice to go to another round. Obviously, for them, Wembley's been a bit of a second home in this competition, but they need to pick up points in the league, and if that means sacrificing this cup, we'll see what he does. Yes, he'll be desperate to win, but I think again with our squad we can put out a decent enough team that they'll, if nothing else, we'll give them a hell of a game. So I'm fairly confident that we can get a good result.
It's always an interesting one, this, isn't it, Was? I know we've been guilty of saying it in the past as well, that you're happy to sacrifice a cup. I know it's not a competition that a lot of fans are particularly fussed about. But if we just focus on the Peterborough element that Nick was talking about there, yes, you have to concentrate on the league. That's right, especially in their position. But you have to build confidence from somewhere. So if they get the win in the cup, that could kickstart them. In essence, so he'll be taking it seriously, won't he? You'd imagine.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think Luke Williams will want to come here because he's got some slack, and I don't think he'll want to come here and get beat in any competition that he turned up here. And let's not joke. I know there's not an awful lot of a golf, but there's still a League One side coming to us, so it is going to be a challenge. And like you said, they do seem to take this competition seriously. I don't really know enough about their squad and everything like that, really, to see how they're going to line up and what they're going to do. But I think we just need to concentrate on ourselves. And it is a really interesting selection headache for Holloway, because we have got a couple of injuries there now with Palmer and Tafazoli. And not that I don't think they would have played anyway, but with him talking about Palmer being out Saturday as well, does someone like Drinnan still play tomorrow night? Do you know what I mean? Does he rest him up for Bolton? Do you know? It'll be intriguing to see which cup takes the priority. Do you see what I mean? Because the FA Cup has that next round tie, but we're further in the competition than we are in the Virtue Trophy. So it is an intriguing one. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting. I think we won't know until we see the lineups tomorrow night, and then we can compare and see what Peterborough have lined up like and what we've lined up like. But you can sort of say from ours that you know that everyone that was on the bench Saturday, you'd like to fit is going to be in starting tomorrow. So there's going to be your likes of your Lewis Wards, McGregors, your Balls, your Bodins. I wouldn't be surprised to see Prince in there because he does need to get some confidence in him.
And he always plays well against League One sides.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah. But it is really, I don't really know. This will show tomorrow for us which competition Holloway wants to take more seriously, won't it? Because with the Palmer injury and the Tafazoli injury, you kind of think they might not play tomorrow, but they would have been shoo-ins to play on Saturday. But now, with both of them slight doubts, you don't know if that's going to be the case. So, yeah, it is very interesting. Look, we've gone a bit further in this competition. Normally, we get knocked out at the group stage, don't we? We don't normally take it seriously enough. Of course, I want us to win, but if you were asking me which one I think I'd rather win, I think I'd rather win Saturday, just because I didn't ask you. That's it, because you knew what the answer was going to be. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's a good chance for, like Nick said earlier, the likes of Mabete should come back in. Ball will get a game. Ward, yeah. You know what I mean? It's intriguing to look, and that's still a strong enough team on paper to at least give Peterborough a decent, a decent game. And like I say, we don't know what their squad's going to be like. Nick could be bang on. You know what I mean? As much as they love this trophy, league form will have to take priority for them because they'll want to stay in. You know what I mean? I know it's early-ish in the season, so they've still got time. But you know what I mean? They're going to want to be keeping some of their lads key for, you know what I mean, for games. But they have got the FA Cup on Saturday, I'd imagine, as well. So I don't know. Did they get knocked out or have they just? I don't know.
They got Barnsley at home on Saturday.
Yeah, there we go. So you know what I mean. They might prioritise that game, get a team against the same level as them. So they might think, oh, we're going to rest up some players. So it'll be intriguing. I don't think it could go, well, like any game, it can go either way tomorrow. But we just got to concentrate on ourselves and try and get our lads that haven't been playing, performing, and, you know what I mean, doing what they can.
Just to kind of give you a rough, and it's only a very rough indication I've just pulled up their team that played against Crawley in their last group game, just to give you an idea. And they have been taking it quite seriously, looking at their team. They have been playing some of their league performers. So Williams has clearly been using this to try and build some momentum, try and build some form into players. So I wouldn't expect to see a whole host of changes. A lot of the names that were in the starting lineup that day were also in the matchday squad against Doncaster on Saturday.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, be a tough. If that's the case, then it's going to be a tough game because I think we're going to be a few down from what we would consider our strongest team. So if that is the case, we could be a bit on the back foot. But we're at home, you know what I mean, and we'll give them a run for their money, won't we? So if that's the case, to see what we can do. You know what I mean? It could all go right for us on the night as such. So we'll just see how we perform. We've got to perform well to win. Let's put it that way. I don't think we can be at 70, 80% tomorrow and get a result. Let's put it, you know what I mean? They've got some good players. So yeah, we've got to perform and we've got to match them in every area.
Well, Woody, as I sort of half joked earlier, we know that Finley Monroe is playing. Holloway's already confirmed that, as he can't play on Saturday. We're pretty sure Ward's going to play. He's played in all the other Virtue Trophy games. As the likes of Wazza says, as Peter said, you'd imagine Mabete's going to play. Probably Princewell and Bowden are going to be involved. Tabor possibly even from the start as well. Is it a case of that you can only realistically see the likes of maybe Kilkenny, possibly Drinnan coming out to leave them for Saturday, but the rest of them will be as kind of expected?
Yeah, I mean, the pattern of this kind of tournament so far this year has always been kind of Kilkenny or Nichols is normally left out. One of those two is normally left out. I don't think Nichols has played at all in it, actually.
We know Palmer's out until the Cheltenham game. We know Tafazoli's out until possibly the Bolton game.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got obviously you've already mentioned Lewis Ward will definitely start. Princewell and Billy didn't get on Saturday, so they'll be starting tomorrow. I can't see a way around that.
Joel will probably start in place of Snowden.
Well, yeah, but that'd be the big question because now he might need Joel on Saturday. So it'd be whether he looks at one of the youngsters. There was that youngster who came.
Gray.
Gray.
Ray,
yeah.
I think he'll start him on the
left wing back. But then he's thinking if
but Monroe is definitely playing. We know this tomorrow.
Yeah, of course it is.
So unless he puts Monroe in the back three, which you've seen him do that before, do you know what I mean? If he puts Monroe the left side of the back three, maybe, and then gives the kid Gray down the left wing back option. So that could be.
I think Clark will be involved in the squad. I don't think he'll start, but I do think he'll be in the squad.
Ball may start in his place.
Ball, I think, will start. Given that Glatz played only half an hour, he might start Glatz.
He should start. Yeah.
And Glatz likes his competition, doesn't he? He does like this competition, Glatz also. But then that puts the question as whether, because that means that surely Tabor or Prince Will or Billy, one of them has to miss out. And
they have to miss out.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of almost a front three of Bowden, Glatzel and Prince Will, to be fair, in one way or another, whether they put kind of Billy a bit more central of that or whether they just put Prince Will to run on to loose balls as well. And then you've got, I think the only player that I could probably almost guarantee I think will miss out is probably Oldacre. I think he'll rest him more than what he rests already. And then but then obviously if he does put Mabete in there, that could mean that he might play Clark and he might play Nichols or Kilkenny. I think we'll see two of those three. I think in midfield we'll see Clark, Kilkenny or Nichols. We'll see two of those three for a period of time. I don't know. Whatever the two is, they won't play 90 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised because he's got to have Saturday, Tuesday. I think that's what's more on his mind is he's got Saturday, Tuesday. That's what's on his mind is he's just got so much football and the sports scientists will be speaking to him. But I do think that he'll probably favour, like Moz says, he'll probably favour the Bolton game, but likewise, I believe he's got a good enough squad to be able to still make this effective and still put out an effective game on Saturday. And we've got to remember, yes, as players, you need to rest, but these are professional footballers at the end of the day. So, there are players...
They train to play Saturday, Tuesday.
Yeah, and even if we be realistic, players like Knight LaBelle, Will Wright, even Kilkenny to a certain extent, they'll be able to play Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. They're naturally fit players.
Athletes.
Yeah. And I'm sure Glatzel would be able to as well. But I think he'll use Glatzel wisely, given I think Palmer getting injured on Saturday has probably changed a lot of his thinking for tomorrow and next Saturday. But I do think it'll be a front line that we haven't seen that much of this year.
Do you think, and this is a question for all of you, so I'll stick with you as you answer the last one, Woody, but I'll move it around so all three of you get a chance to answer. Do you think, with that also as a consideration, is Holloway the sort of person to prioritise one of these games over the other, in terms of we've got 2 cup games before we return to league action? Or do you think, especially with the squad that we've been talking very happily about all season, that he's managed to assemble, do you think he's looking at this with I want to win both of these games?
I think had he had a full squad, I think he'd be able to prioritise a bit better. I do think I don't think it's as simple this time, like compared to when we last played in this before the MK Dons game. The one before that, I don't think it's as black and white as that now. I think because now he's got injuries, he's got suspensions, he's now got to think about how he can get the most effective players to play 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes over the next kind of 4 games. So I think his hand's a little bit forced this time. I don't think it's as black and white as whether he's prioritising or not, if I'm brutally honest, because I was thinking even about the midfield as well. We haven't got Murphy now either. So,
right.
as good as I still believe the squad is, and like I say, although I stupidly made that comment about not losing on a Tuesday night,
You ruined our season by saying that. By the way.
yeah, but it is still a squad for me that's suitable for a lot of competition. So, but I think we'll see players. I think we'll see a couple more youngsters on the bench, which he'll see this competition. I think he still prioritize it because he wants to win. Because he says all the time, "I'm picking a team that I think is going to win this game or can win this game." But he'll look at it as also an opportunity to bleed some of the youngsters, like Danny Gonzalez has come on in the last couple of games, hasn't he? And we already mentioned the young lad at left wing back. Whether that might change his tack now. Now he knows he's got Monroe for 90 minutes. He might not bother putting Gray in the squad. So, I think his hands. I don't think it's as black and white this time.
Okay. What?
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever say that he's prioritising one over the other, especially in a cup competition side of things. But there's got to be some priority, and like Woody said, with regards to the squad, it's when you've heard when we've got about the injuries and suspensions that we've got at the moment, there probably has to be a bit of priority and a bit of protection to you know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Because you're saying to Saturday, but if it was a league game, I don't think we'd be even having this conversation because the league would take priority. But I really don't know how Holloway's going to weigh it up against the Virtue Trophy to the FA Cup. For me, it's a bit of a no-brainer. But are we going to get to Wembley going to the FA? He seems that you know what I mean? He seems that he's always said this, to get this football club to Wembley again, to, you know what I mean, and do something like that. We've got definitely more of a chance of doing that in this competition in the Virtue than we have in the FA Cup, haven't we? So it's...
And I will pass this question on to Nick as well, but because I am interested in all of your views. But as someone who has openly said they're not particularly fussed about this competition if the team sheet's announced tomorrow and it reads something along the lines of it'll be Ward, and then let's say it says Wright, Mabete, Ball as a back three. And then it says, what have we just said? Monroe on the left. Come on, Bobby.
McGregor, Snowden.
McGregor on the right with, let's say, rests Kilkenny. So he goes Nichols and who would the other centre midfielder be in that situation? Who am I missing?
Clark.
Nichols. Yes. Okay. Let's say it says Nichols, Clark. And then say Woody's correct, and it's Princewell, Glatzel, Bodin as a free. Would you be disappointed that the likes of Clark, Wright, Glatzel aren't being rested for the Bolton game?
I don't think I'll be disappointed. I'd be more concerned for me if it was a league game and I'd be thinking, God, we're taking a bit of a chance here. But I think he's got in his head who's already available for Saturday. He's already said that Tafazoli looks like that he's going to be available for Saturday. So he's got these players in his mind that he knows that he can't play tomorrow, but will be a shoe-in to come in on Saturday. So it's one of them. But it's so difficult because I think I kind of agree with Peter. I think there's more, you know what I mean? You've got that the chance of a big third-round tie, and we all know that money helps in this, you know what I mean? Money helps at this football club. So it's one of them. And I could, if this was the Virtue to the league, it would be a no-brainer for me. The league has got to take priority. But with the two cup competitions, it does bring them slightly closer together. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
We've also got bearing in mind.
Oh, sorry, Woody.
I was just say before Nick answers, we've also got bearing in mind that the likelihood of winning.
Yes.
Although I think they're both winnable ties, I think there's probably more of a chance of beating
Peterborough
and therefore
in the
having a road
Virtue
to Wembley than there is for beating Bolton to potentially, and it is always potentially, play a big tie in the next round.
We can only dream of getting Spurs away because everyone wins at the new White Hart Lane.
Hard place to play.
Thankfully, Woody was muted then as he was reacting, so I can only imagine the words that were coming out of his mouth.
Yeah. Thomas Frank just hasn't found his office yet.
Well, exactly. Throwing the original question back to you, Nick. Do you think, given that it's a 2-cup game week, Holloway will prioritise one over the other? Or do you think he's going to attack both competitions?
Well, he said all along he wants to win every game, and obviously every manager's going to say that. But yes, probably. I'm sort of slightly changing my mind, really, because whichever team we put out tomorrow is going to be a decent team. It's going to be a strong team because we have got a good squad. I still think the Saturday team will, on paper, be slightly stronger because some of the players that are likely to be rested, like your Kilkennys, like your Tafazoli. You might rest Snowden and put McGregor in. So I think Saturday's team will be slightly stronger, but I still think the team that we do put out tomorrow will be strong enough to get a result. And, like has already been said, we've got a far better chance of getting to Wembley and winning it in this competition than we have in the FA Cup. And when he makes a good point, everybody's saying, oh, yeah, great, we'll get into the third round and we'll get a great tie. It will probably get bloody Walsall away, or I don't even know if they're still in it, but it'll be some crap tie like that.
We'll get Peterborough again when they beat Barnes.
Yeah, and we'll get knocked out in the third round away to a really crap game. So you always hope you get to the third round and you get a biggie. But maybe get to the third round, get a team we can beat, and go to the fourth round and get some more money. So who knows? But whichever, I think Saturday will be a slightly stronger side, but Tuesday won't be that much weaker. It will still be a bloody good side with the squad we've got.
And Woody, I think Nick makes an absolutely great distinction there, because there's prioritising and then there's using the squad. Because if we take the example that I gave Wazza a few moments ago and say that's the 11, then like Nick says, that 11's perfectly capable of putting in a performance and getting a result against Peterborough. And just because Tafazoli comes back in, Clark comes back in, Kilkenny comes back in, Drinnan comes back in, yes, on paper that looks stronger. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Holloway's prioritised it, does it?
No. And like I said earlier, some of it's going to be because his hand's going to be forced anyway. But I think as well, like regardless of the competition, you've got players that will automatically almost look 10 times stronger because, again, like I said earlier, they'll be trying to prove a point. Glatzel is one that I'll pick out. He must be like itching at the bits to get into these games because he does have success in them, and then we almost get the best. We get the best version of Glatzel in these games, don't we? And it's so it's almost like and then there's going to be other players that are similar. Mabete might have the game of his life tomorrow because for some reason he
doesn't know why he's being dropped. Yeah.
He doesn't know why he's being. Well, he obviously behind closed doors he probably does know, but he'll still be desperate to prove a point. McGregor will be another one. I think McGregor will know that he hasn't been at his best, and not only will he want to prove Holloway that he should be looking in because this time last year the end of last season, he was one of our best players. And it's kind of, you think, actually, I need to not only prove Holloway that I should be in it, I need to prove myself that I'm actually better than what I've been displaying as well. So, and that's why I think where arguably Tafazoli still being out has probably helped him in a weird way, because you're kind of like, well, that means he can't play Tafazoli tomorrow. That means he doesn't even have the choice of. It's not a case of him putting out a weak team and then getting dicked, and then us still putting out a strong team on Saturday and then getting dicked again. That could happen. That could happen. So where it's not I think he will prioritize, like Wazza said, he'll prioritize certain areas where he's got the wealth. Such as the front line. He has, regardless of Palmer being out, he has still got a bit of flexibility in that front line as to what he can do.
I mean, yeah, you're right. With Palmer out, that still realistically gives him the choice of, and I always forget one, so I'm going to try my best here. It still realistically gives him the choice of Drinnan, Glatzel, Bodin, Princeville, Tabor. I've definitely still missed one in there somewhere, but that's 5.
Drinnan.
No, I said Drinnan.
Did you say Drinnan?
Yeah.
No, I think
Drilling, Glatswell, Table, Princewell, Bowden. Well, there's 5 anyway, even without Palmer. That's still an almost embarrassment of riches for a Virtue Trophy game.
And when you think about it, this competition historically, we've always used youngsters somewhere. Like in the forward line, there's no room really, unless he really decides to completely rest a striker, a forward player. We can't even bring a youngster up. Remember how good Abu Kanu was when he came on the scene and things like that.
Miles of Bodo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who's playing for the under-18s now at the moment, to be totally honest. But I've not been as invested in them as I am normally. But but over the other areas of the field where he doesn't have the option to rest really, because he's still got a field a strong side because of the rules anyway, but also he wants the momentum. He'll want the momentum to carry on going, and I think he'll want to win the game. And I think he's experienced enough to know that you can't just rely on a complete B team to win a game.
And just a final point on the back of what Woody was saying there. It's not like we're not experiencing at the minute one player a week seemingly getting injured in training and being out for a while. So whoever does play tomorrow doesn't automatically mean they're not playing on Saturday anyway.
Yeah, funny enough, I was just thinking that in my head. Like we were thinking like they can only play 1 game or 2 games in a week. Let's put it this way. Holloway has got these boys quite fit, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? They are... You know, I mean, I know we've picked up some strain injuries, like some hamstrings. We were unlucky with Butterworth and stuff like that. But unfortunately, sometimes they just happen. But, you know, I mean, they are fit enough to do this. You know, especially you look at the likes of Glatzel. I could see Glatzel playing easily tomorrow night, and then he would be in on Saturday. You know what I mean? He's one of those. I think Woody hit the nail on the head. Tomorrow night has got to be, you've got to protect the positions that you know that we're a little bit stretched on. You know what I mean? Because you know that Saturday he's going to want Nichols and Kilkenny in those 2 for Saturday. So, and maybe Oldacre in that as well. So, but you've got the options to rotate the midfield a little bit more. And defensively, there's no harm in them playing Tuesday, Saturday with what you've got with Ward. And I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see even Ball go into midfield tomorrow. There's so many.
I was literally just thinking that exact same thing. I thought back to MK Dons and you know the 3 that started at centre back against MK Dons. You know, Delaney came off. We haven't even mentioned Delaney, but Delaney came off the bench. Wright came off the bench. Yeah. Suddenly, you think Delaney's available, and Ball going into midfield makes every sense in the world.
It does, yeah.
I totally forgot about Delaney.
Yeah, so did I.
It's a good show.
Yeah, that gives you the opportunity.
And again, you say about the younger, fitter players. I see absolutely no reason Knight LaBelle doesn't play.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very, very true.
So suddenly you're thinking Delaney's one of the centre backs. Knight LaBelle's another one.
Oh, we didn't even mention Knight LaBelle. Yeah, we were thinking that he would just be. There's so many options at centre back that he could or centre back and centre mid that he could see.
Your back 3 tomorrow could very, very easily be Knight LaBelle, Mabete, Delaney, and no one bats an eyelid.
Yeah.
And you know what will happen? They'll do that, and there'll be either changes at halftime or changes on the hour mark, and it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he plays Knight LaBelle for 60 minutes. In fact, I'd almost put my money on it that he starts Knight LaBelle and he's off at 60 minutes for someone like Will Wright.
Yep, to just give him another half an hour to tick things over.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, I apologise for interrupting your point, Wassa, but it just clicked on me then. Your point then, the ball goes into that centre midfield then. Yeah. And that alleviates the Kilkenny, Clark, and like Woody
said as well, he could just do it that he would play Nichols first half and then play Kilkenny second half.
Correct.
Like it's no different to they would probably train on a Tuesday anyway, so they won't train tomorrow. They'll probably all be in the squad, and I don't want to say a training game because it certainly is more than that, but there's only one good thing of getting to get match fitness and stuff like that into legs is matches. That's the only way, isn't it? So you look at it and you think instead of a training session, this is probably a glorified session where you could give them 45.
This is just a more intense intense session.
And you can plan it a little bit more in this competition. No fan's going to bat an eyelid if you go, well, Nichols, you're going to play 45, and then I'm going to bring Kilkenny on for your 45, and then you know what I mean.
Knight LaBelle's off after an hour, and Wright comes on.
Knight LaBelle's off after an hour. And then the likes of Delaney gets a full 90, Mabete gets a full 90 that he needs. Probably someone like McGregor needs a full 90. So, you know what I mean? There's the players. Bodin needs a full 90. So, yeah, actually, we're thinking about this, but we're probably thinking too much that they are fit. You know what I mean? They're paid to do this. So, you know what I mean? Play the games. It's only, you know what I mean? We've said this it's going to be a tough Christmas period. We know this. But we're set where we're at.
But it's probably easier for the players to have the game on a Tuesday than the training that he would put them through to get that fitness levels up. It's physically, it's probably easier to play than it is to train. So
every
players are far happier playing.
Every player interview I've ever heard, regardless of whether they're Swindon, Man United, Rangers, Real Madrid, they'd rather play games than train.
Yeah, 100%. So from that point of view, like was said, that they're all fit. It's a relatively young side, so shouldn't be a problem. And I say, with probably what they've had last week, what he's put them through, they'll be glad they've got games on Tuesdays coming up.
And actually, he's a guaranteed starter, Knight Labau, because he's on the. So,
well, now that we've completely changed our theoretical lineup because we've remembered that we've got Delaney. Let's get some predictions for tomorrow. And as a change of pace, I'm actually going to go first. I'm going to say we win 3-1 tomorrow, and we continue our cup run and our assault onto Wembley. 3-1 Swindon win. We don't even need penalties. Nick?
I'm going to say very optimistically 4-2.
Yes, Nick. Come on. I hope you lot have got tickets for this. Goal fests.
I did have, but I can't make it now.
Oh, Woody?
We've always had good goal-scoring games against Peterborough, haven't we? But that doesn't mean
if you remember
now.
The cup game a couple of seasons ago in the League Cup that I went to, and I just said, guys, we can play all day, we're never going to score.
Yeah.
We've done everything but score in this game.
I'd love to see a goal fest tomorrow, and obviously this competition has given us goals this year.
Virtue Trophy is built for goal fests.
It's built for goal fests, but I do feel it's going to be a bit more reserved tomorrow. I'm going to go 2-1 Swindon.
Oh, progression. Let's go. Come on, Was 4-4.
Yeah, I do agree with Woody. I think in the group games, it's a lot easier to go a bit more. It's a lot easier to go gung-ho in the group games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were all just laughing then. I was like, oh. It's a lot easier to go gung-ho in the group games. So I feel like that when it's knockout football, it will naturally be a bit more cagier. So I do agree at my scoreline in my head that as I am going to go Swindon, I'm just going to lean towards us after we've worked out that with this squad is bigger than what we've even expected. Yeah. I was also going to edge towards 2-1 Swindon.
All four of us saying progression can only mean one thing.
That's done it. Yeah, that's done it.
Before we finish, gents, we should touch on the remarks today. Ian Holloway did what was published about 25-minute interview, which was very much instead of a typical pre-match, it was a call to arms. It was a request for forgiveness. It was a try to unite the entire fan base. I mean, it was an emotional music overlay short of being a Netflix documentary, let's be honest. What did we all make of the comments? Nick, let's start with you.
I've got no problem with what Holloway's been saying. I put in our WhatsApp group that there is lots of issues within the ground. Woody hit it on the head last week when he said the acoustics don't help with generating a noise. What's happened in the town end doesn't help in generating a noise. And unless they get that sorted, that's always going to be difficult. There are a number of fans, and we've all been going a long time. Some of the Swindon fans are some of the most fickle fans in the country. they'll just have a moan at anything, and I'll challenge anybody to disagree with me on that. It is a minority, but sometimes it's a vocal minority. So, and I think he passionately believes in what he's doing. He wants, as I said earlier, he will give 100%. He wants his coaching staff to do the same, and he wants the players to do the same. And he wants the support then from the supporters to back the team. And there's probably a lot of fans like me. I 100% back the football. I would love to see the county ground rocking again. I don't back the regime. I don't like the regime, but I'm just concentrating on the football. And I hope tomorrow, obviously, there's not going to be a massive crowd, but I hope the crowd that's there get behind the team, get them ready for Saturday, and we have a bloody good atmosphere on Saturday. So I haven't got a problem with what Holloway says. Sometimes you have to ignore some of the nonsense that he comes out with. But for me, he says things for the right reasons, and he believes in what he says. And that's, for me, far better than some of the waffle and crap you hear from some managers coming out and some we've had in the past. So I'm 100% for Holloway, and I'm 100% for the players. I'm 100% for the team. And yeah, let's go on and get a couple of bloody good results in the next 2 games.
Okay, was?
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. When you go on the YouTube thing and you see it's 25 minutes long, you kind of think, oh God, it's going to be a long old waffle. So I sort of wait for the comments and the little pickets that come out of it. And yeah, do you know what I mean? The little like
Swindon Town United.
Yeah, what has been said and everything like that. Yeah. Look, you can't doubt the guy's passion. I saw it last week when I went to that Phil King evening, and it was with him, and the way that it was meant to be more talked about. We were always going to talk about Swindon, we knew that, but the passion that he shows, and there were some fans in the room that, and me being one of them, that was quite impressed with how he, you know what I mean, there's moments with him that where I think his passion spills over, and then he sort of contradicts himself a little bit at times. But look, I don't mind that. I'm with Nick that I totally agree. I'd much rather have a manager with a lot of drive and passion than some of the drivel we've had the last couple of times. Do you know what I mean? That are just, you can tell their heart's not in it. They're not interested. They're not bothered. To them, it's just a payday or you know what I mean, a job. To Holloway, he takes it that next level. And I think he wants all the fans to be on one, you know what I mean, on one thing. But unfortunately, you're not going to get that. You won't get that at any football club. There's still people that you're not going to be able to please. There's still people that don't really like Ian Holloway as a manager. Do you know what I mean? You still hear those people that are ready for him to have a couple of bad results and they can jump straight on it. Yeah, I love Ian Holloway. I said this for as soon as the day he was employed. He got us out of trouble last year. And I've got no problem with what he does. You know what I mean? He's a bigger figure. They always say that there should be, the last few times we've always had it with a bit more player power, haven't we? That the players have had a bit more of a say. We've got a leader, you know what I mean? And he is our leader. Do you know what I mean? Managerial wise. And sometimes he picks the right moments to dig the players. He picks the right moments to take the slack off the players. I think he's just a very experienced manager. And I'm happy in where we are at the moment in the league. I don't think anyone can really have a moan. You know what I mean? And anyone who is moaning at the moment from where we are second in the league, keep going on about performances and shit like that. You know what I mean? Performances are great. Don't get me wrong. We all want to see good football. I totally agree. But we've had 3 or 4 years of seeing reasonably good football. Managers come in that indicate they're going to play this passing style and all shit like that. And it hasn't got us anywhere. So I'm happy to have a manager like Holloway that's experienced, not afraid to mix it up, not afraid to do the gritty and do all the shit like that. As long as it, I'm going a bit off the thing, as long as it gets us out of League 2, I don't give a fuck what he does. Do you know what I mean? Gets us out of League 2, gets us into League 1. That's what I'm all about. And he's doing a sterling job in my eyes.
Well, I personally feel like Woz has been not so subtly calling me out there. But would he?
I almost kind of want to arch it all by just saying, look, he needs to understand that he's on the Arkle stand side, which is just full of people that moan quite a lot anyway.
Yeah.
I've sat in the Arkles before, and you do, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, as in moaning in a bad way. Well, it is moaning in a bad way, but it's the Arkles has historically been known to have the fans that will shout down, sort it out all the way, or sort it out. You know, that's just always that's been the case
Because they can, because they're that close to it.
because they're that close to him. So, but I don't necessarily have an issue with some of the stuff. I do have an issue when he calls out the fans sometimes, because I do think he targets a minority but tarnishes with the same brush. Because I think that that's probably the only thing that I really get. And the other thing is obviously this comparison to other football clubs. I'm not a big fan of. I think realistically, logistically, as Nick said earlier, we know the reasons why the atmosphere isn't always too great. But I just think that I almost want to sit there. I almost want to interview him myself and just say, well, what do you want the fans to sing? Because we're not very good at coming up with our own chants anyway. But it's, how long it took bloody poor Iandolo 10 years before he had a bloody chant. And it's I mean, that was the bit that only riled me a little bit, was the whole 3 weeks ago he's saying that we don't cheer on the team enough. And then there isn't much more positivity than a team singing they're top of the league, or, we're going up again or whatever. There isn't much more positivity to that than you can get on that. And that's the bit that really grind my gears, was because he dug that out as specifically. Now that for me is a positive thing coming from the fan base. So, but other than that, I mean, he's a bit like me. He talks a load of waffle. I think I quite like that about him sometimes. I did listen to his interview all the way because it was on my drive. I was listening to it on my drive home because I thought I'd be able to get on here on time, and when I knew we'd talk about it. But yeah, I just think that it's almost like he wants us to put our arm around him and say, "Don't worry, Ian. We think you're doing a good job." That's all. I got that feeling from the interview. It was a bit of a nothing. Some of the statements are a bit nothing, really. I don't agree with kind of the mantra of that was a massive rally cry to the town fans, because to me it sounded like he was kind of just saying, actually, do you know what? After in the heat of the moment on Saturday, maybe I was wrong with what I said. I would have probably just preferred he just said that. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. And that's fine. He is a guy that is very passionate in his post-match interviews, and he probably just it's just like absolute.
Yeah, he's very much a say in 20 words what he could probably say just as well in 7.
Well, yeah. When we were coming home, we listened to the Swindon Town one that goes on the YouTube channel. I didn't listen to the radio one because obviously we couldn't catch BBC Radio Wiltshire. And the one, because Art said to me, he said, "Oh, I think Holloway's dug the fans out again." And we listened to the Swindon Town one, and he actually praised. Yeah, in the Swindon Town one, he didn't. He praised the fans. He said, "Oh, they were singing for the whole 90 minutes, and they got us over the line and all stuff like this." So it'd be intriguing to see that he's probably done the radio one first, where it's all fresh, and then he's probably gone to the Swindon Town one where he does it with the other guy and has been a little bit more laid back and a bit more chilled with it. So.
Yeah, and I think there's probably certain things he can and cannot. Or he's media trained enough to say that when he's speaking on the official channels, he's speaking on behalf of the club. When he's speaking on BBC Sports, he's speaking as Ian Holloway. Yeah. So I think, but yeah, I mean, obviously, but then at the same time, to his credit, he was full of praise, obviously, as Wazza said, for the away fans. He said that we've been good all season, but Swindon have always been good away. We've always had a good away following, even in the bad times, we've always had a good away following. And do I agree with him? The atmosphere is low at home. Yes, I do agree with him, but I think he could put on a miraculous display, or not him, but the team could put on an absolutely beautiful display of football, still win the game 6-0, and you still aren't going to get a huge amount from it, because it's not the right personnel that are in the right areas of the ground. So
why is that changed though? Because remember, the Town End used to. I don't see.
Well, they put all those restrictions on the Town End, though, didn't they? They put all of those restrictions on. And as much as it used to annoy me when I was in there, unfortunately, sometimes the kids do make the atmosphere in there a little bit. They do get it going, and I mean, it's difficult. Where you and I sit, we got old matey boy who loses his voice behind us every game. He gets the whole Don Rogers going. It's not you, Fifey. We're talking about cheering the team on.
Wow.
but yeah, it's yeah. But Dom, I mean, that's
And it's a change in social climate as well, because you think we're all Nick accepted, obviously, but us three, for example, we're all of similar age, and we've discussed that despite not knowing each other really at that point, we all kind of were in the same part of what was just called the nationwide stand when we started. We all, when we got to a certain age, moved to the town end. We all were part of that era of fan that was singing in the town end. But now most of that group of people that were singing in the town end, the likes of you and I, have moved to the side stands ourselves now.
Yeah.
And there isn't that crop of people in the town end anymore.
I've been in the town end a couple of times, but I prefer watching a game of football from the side. I just always have. I want to be higher up and I want to watch it from the side, because for me, I just have a better angle of watching things, seeing things, doing things. You know what I mean? The way you want to enjoy football. Don't get me wrong, I love it when we go away from home and sometimes you're behind a goal. And when it's behind a goal, it does seem to sometimes generate a bit more of an atmosphere, because you're trying to literally suck the ball in. Do you know what I mean? And I think, yeah, and they need to do something, because there's no reason why it should be any different. You remember the Wellens days,
bring out the drum.
The Wellens days, the Decanio days, you know what I mean? Everything like that. The town end was absolutely rocking. So they've got to look at it, because as much as I get this acoustics argument, you know what I mean? The atmosphere at Swindon Town gets created by the town end. And I know we're going to...
The thing of it is, we're sitting here every week with kind of between 3 and 5K less people than you were in that era of supporting Town. And don't forget, everyone's trying to catch that trending moment, that TikTok moment. That no one's going to just sing songs. They're all trying to record and catch that moment and edit that moment, and like no one's going to sing the songs and do that. It's different era of supporter now.
Yeah, I know. But then you look at someone. I know it's on a bigger scale, but we built this comparison, didn't we? Before you look behind the goal at somewhere like Crystal Palace, where they know where that's where their atmosphere gets created, and that sort of goes all the way then around the ground. You know what I mean? So
that's where you need the fan groups, and by that I don't necessarily include us. I mean the bigger actual fan group. You forget we also there was a period of time where we had people who would actively put out, we want to do this. We want to do the streamers. We want to do the banners. We want, GW Reds always used to do it for a good few years, and they got mocked by our own fans for doing it. But there was an era where people were specifically trying to do these things, and our own fans tore them down for it.
Yeah. Do you think it's maybe now because of we've our confidence? You know what I mean? People's confidence in how the football club is and everything like that has been completely rocked, and that's where we've lost that extra, like you said, that extra 2,000-3,000 people that would probably bring that more atmosphere again. Do you know what I mean? When you're losing it out, because there's no doubt in away from home, like there was 800 of us there on Saturday at Chesterfield, which is a massive support away from home. But you get everyone, all the Swindon fan in one area. The atmosphere was insane. Like, and I know away games are a little bit more different. You've got that where you're all in one, converged together. But there's something that's got to be done.
It's different. I agree. It's different for away games. It always is. It always will be. And although I understand it to an extent, again, if I think back to when I was, say, my teenage years, starting in the nationwide and moving into the town end, there was a slight element, but you would never really hear someone say, excuse me, you're in my seat. There was never any of that. It was just, I've got a ticket, I'll go where there's a seat, because half the time you're not going to be sat anyway. You're generally trying to get in the top of the nationwide stand where people are standing, or you're trying to get in the town end where people are standing. There's like almost no standing anymore. There's all, instead of the ticker tape and stuff like that, as the players are running out, there's Will Wright, can I have your boots? Harry Smith, can I have your shirt signs?
Fair point.
And even to an extent, and I don't mean this to sound as a criticism, but I think back to, again, when I was first had my season ticket before I moved away from Swindon, that even the music choices got fans up for it before the game. Now, don't get me wrong, because of this, because of what we do, I love when Fools Rush In plays before a game, but it's not the same as, I get it's a bit expletive and it's not necessarily the social norm anymore, but it's not the same as like Carnival de Paris playing and telling opposition fans to fuck off at 1 minute to 3, is it? Because you used to get up for it then. And it would be all that sort of music that would get you would have the normal sort of music playing until sort of 8-9 minutes before, and then there was a set routine of songs that would just gradually build the fans' atmosphere. And you would be up for it
straight after Rockin' Robin's been in the centre circle.
Where's the hacker gone? Bring the hacker back.
Yeah.
It was all part of it.
No, you do. I agree, and you are right. Those songs that lifted I get it before games, but maybe Sean makes a good point. He's gone and you go and watch a few neutral games now, and maybe it's not. It's obviously not just at our football club, is it? But we this is where we do the comparison. But I don't know. But I do get. I get a Holloway's point. I get it, especially at home and stuff like that. But I've always, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, when the players give us something to shout about, it can turn into a really good atmosphere at the county ground. When the players
it's not always on the players. It's not always on the players. I think as fans, there is definitely a conscious effort we can make. If we say we're not happy with the atmosphere in the county ground, there is a conscious effort that can be made by fans to create an atmosphere before kickoff. Like before kickoff, the players can't give us anything. We used to be singing at opposition fans for half an hour before kickoff. Now, people I'm going to pull a Holloway here and probably upset someone unintentionally.
They can't do that.
Now we've got people crying that they can't get into the stadium 5 minutes before kickoff. Back in the day, you used to be in there half an hour before chanting.
Yeah.
But the last game I was at, the concourse was absolutely rammed at about 5 minutes to 3.
Yeah, they're not there already.
People don't take their seats till late. Yeah. So you haven't got that atmosphere building up, like you say, Fifey. Stop the beers. Get in the ground.
Don't tell Gary.
Yeah.
Let them take the
That's why I said it.
At least Rich watch a game sober.
And the other thing, Fifey, just going back on Holloway, one of the things he said is he wants to talk to the fans. He wants to talk to the groups. Well, get him on.
Well, he's more than welcome on here, yeah.
Send the proper invite
Send him the link.
And say that you've got some passionate fans here. A group of us would love nothing more than have the county ground rocking.
Well, you know that I drive to most home games, so I'm definitely not drunk before the game. Alfie, thank you.
Also, I think
never seen you drive to a home game was.
You leave the stadium you arrive at the stadium with the impression of the last game. So, I mean, that's a good point that obviously Nick's made about Holloway talking to the fans. I guarantee you the atmosphere at the end of a game, and it would roll over, would be completely different if he stayed out at the end of the game as well. You know, if he stayed out, walked around.
Give me the old Scott Lindsay.
Well, not even that. But then we say that, but how good does that? How much of an effect does that have? Look at bloody Robbie Savage at the weekend for Forest Green Rovers. I don't know if anybody's seen that clip of like that. You know, he's actually joining in with one of the chants, and it's like I'm not saying that Holloway has to go that. He's a mature man now, but at the same time, just come round and you'll be surprised at how big that will thing of it, and that will roll over to the next game if you're kind of giving it that oomph. But like now, it's like. I remember the days when
You're right, though. I mean, I don't know if you see the constantly trending clips of Dean Henderson. The Crystal Palace fans always sing to him, Hendo, give us a song. And he always starts the Shakira version of Who Gives a Fuck the FA Cup.
Yeah. And I could, to be fair, I could probably imagine Ripley doing that, to be fair. But
the other thing for atmosphere, we haven't got what I call a talisman out there. Whereas in the past, you've had songs about Doyle, you've had McCurdy, you've had Anthony Grant, who was a big personality, and I don't really hear songs about individual players like there used to be, and we haven't got any players.
Kenny should have a song by now.
But there's no. But again, he's not that type of personality that can get a crowd going, whereas we've had them in the past. So they say there's nobody on the pitch, and I know it's not their job to do that, but say we haven't got that person there that will start and help. And like you said, Henderson at Palace. I mean, that's a great example. Maybe probably Ripley could do something along those lines, but and all these little things add up. That the town end, the people getting in late, like Fofi said, the people on their phones. It is different now to what it was. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But we can fix it, and it can be better.
I'll tell you what, the individual player chance is a big one. That really irritates me because I remember, you guys remember, I sent the video around when Arlo was younger of when Conroy's had the Harry Maguire chant, didn't he? And one thing that really, really irritates me is the fact that we score a goal and the first thing we're doing is telling the opposition fans to fuck off. Like, for me, that was an ideal moment. Like, I always look back to that Conroy goal against
Oldham.
Sheridan's Oldham. And I always think that was an ideal time to get that chant out and really get everybody going. But no, we were too busy telling the Oldham fans, which is the most annoying chant in the world. I fucking hate it. But I wouldn't mind if it finished with Swindon, but we just say fuck off. And now we're in a world where you're not allowed to say anything. I'm not saying that people should be 100% should be racist.
Woody's one rant away from quoting utter woke nonsense.
Utter woke nonsense, yeah. But that is not wokeness. But there is a part to play that we can't say things anymore and things like that. There's no joyous. I mean, like I used to remember, when you used to get the players that had their hairstyles in funny ways and used to say like they got a pineapple on their head. You wouldn't be able to chant that anymore because they'd probably be deemed as racist or something along those lines. So it's but what I would like to see is I 100% agree with Nick. I think there needs to be more kind of oomph around the players, and I think the players will then. I know we need the characters on the pitch, but the players will thrive off that. They will start to. I mean, you can imagine if Mabete had a chant that everybody, by the way, that everybody knows. That's the other thing. We need to stop coming up with chants that have a verse and a chorus.
It's like without even thinking too hard about it. I'm sure you could fit Mabete into the Macarena or something, and that would be class.
Yeah. Anything like that. But the problem is now is I don't want to criticize people's creativity, but I'm going to a little bit. We don't need a verse and a chorus. Let's just have a couple of lines, like you say, Mabete to Macarena or something along those lines. There's so many, and even if we have to recycle the old ones, recycle some of the old ones. But some of these players do need chance. We're second in the league, and I don't think we've really chanted about a single player once.
We've got Palmer.
Yeah, I don't like that one either because that's just bringing politics into football is just not the idea. Yeah, I'd rather us sing Palmer again, ole ole. To be fair,
This has started the last couple of days. Someone's been bringing celery to games, haven't they? They had it on Saturday and just throwing it round, and the notorious song that comes with that.
Yeah.
Maybe the celery's the answer.
Yeah, just anything. But I think
get someone handing it out as people come in the ground.
I'm going to buy a load of celery and chuck it around the Don Rogers. Chuck it around the Arkle stand. That would annoy him.
Theo was there on Saturday, and a bit fan was just in front of him, and he said, "Daddy, what is that? Why are they throwing celery?" And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, why do I have to say this now? Just listen to the song, Theo, but don't take it in."
Yeah. No, but it will. But they do. I agree with Nick. They need to sort that problem out in the town end because, regardless of what people say, and I agree with one of the reasons I've moved to the side stands is because actually now I like to properly watch a game. But they need to sort that problem out in the town end to get people back in there. They need to decrease the price of the town end as well. But we'll go on to that another day. But
let's all not joke. Actually, I know we go on about this, but. We say about attendances being down and not where they are.
People are priced out.
It's a tough world that we live in, isn't it, at the moment? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a tough world. we're all quite privileged that we can, but some people can only afford to cherry pick a game. We've all discussed before how expensive it can be. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So that's not that, you know what I mean? Some people probably do want to come and watch the town, do want to come and watch the club. But unfortunately, in today's world, these are the things that get sacrificed, I'm afraid, because you've got to pay your bills. You've got to do, people want a holiday every year. Do you know what I mean? That you've got to save for. Well, maybe we're just staring the answer straight in the face, and it is a real tough world that we're living in at the moment. You know what I mean? With everything the way it is. I don't want to get all political because that's not my thing, but maybe it is just the simple thing that people can't afford it, which is horrible, but it is the way of the world at the moment.
But the one thing I will say, though, is where credit where it's due, because I'm pretty sure we didn't do it last year. We've got the half-season tickets back, haven't we?
Oh, good.
And I'm sure we didn't do that last year.
No, didn't. Yeah, because I've just got mine, actually, or paid for mine, so it's on its way.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's a good deal.
That's a good idea. That, you know, to bring those back, especially now we're doing well, that will bump the numbers up.
I will bypass over Alfie's because we're a football show. This isn't PMQs. Listen, we've gone well in excess of our usual 90 minutes here, lads. I think there's been some great ground covered. Let's continue the conversation over the next few days across our socials. If you've got any ideas, for chats, we did this a couple of seasons ago. People would DM me chants and I would start posting them out on our socials if I thought they were quite good. So if you've got ideas for players' chants, send us DMs. We'll get them posted out on our socials.
We'll pass them on to Theo and Ember Rose and see how they get on.
Yeah,
we'll get Ollie to sign them off as approved, and then we'll get them chanted. But listen, as always, this has been good fun. If you are going to the game tomorrow, be as loud as you can. Let's be proud. Let's continue this form, because I believe we're now on the longest unbeaten run in the EFL. Although 4 of those 6 are draws. It depends whether your cup's half full or half empty. It's still unbeaten, as Ben told us in the group chat.
It's never half empty. It's 3/4 empty, I think.
And 3 draws equal a win. Who said that?
Exactly. Well, exactly. But honestly, we've shown confidence today that we believe, despite everything, that we can win tomorrow. Let's get that win, and when we meet again on Friday, we can talk about how we're then going to turn over Bolton on Saturday. Gents, thank you very much for your time tonight. Appreciated as ever. Thank you to everyone who's joined in, whether you've just been watching along or you've joined in the chat. Again, very much appreciated. And we will talk to you again on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love.